The biggest problem with the Destiny 2 community from Aztecross. I got to know what we're talking about here. I need to know.
There is a clip I want us to look at real quick. I saw this clip being shared around.
Becky and I have both talked about it, and the categorical #1 problem that we have had, and like I think I maybe feel especially strongly about this, but she's felt it as well, is the weirdos in the community. Like, if I leave the Destiny community, it's not going to be because there's a problem with the game, because I love the game. It's not going to be because there's like, it's not going to be anything to do with Bungie or whatever. It's going to be, I'm sick and tired of the weirdos, right? And like right now, I'm good.
So if you're wondering what he means by weirdos, let's just read this post real quick. Like this kills the game much faster than any bad update change Bungie could make. It's so insane the Destiny community will actively go out of their way to be hostile and push out new players that are excited about the game. You are a hashtag. I don't know this part right here. You are a hashtag Destiny creator, yet you epitomize what's wrong with this community. Fucking embarrassing. I don't know what that tweet even was. What was that tweet? Matt was saying that Milo hates women. Is that what this is about? Never forget when someone quit because of idiots in the community.
That's what I've been dealing with all fucking day, dude. Players like that. Players like that can't aim to save their lives, but they can shotgun all fucking day. And the community loves that skill ceiling. The grandma level skill ceiling that we got going on here. Your fucking community sucks. I hope your game dies.
Oof.
Good luck. What a waste of fucking time.
Oh my God.
One good thing I got out of all this, though, was this music.
Why am I just now discovering this clip, dude?
I'm happy about. Holy
Damn.
shit, man. Holy shit. I can't believe you guys are okay with that, and that's the gameplay that you want. That's the gameplay that you want. That's what you asked for. That's mind-boggling, dude. The dips are asking, the fucking no-skilled apes that use shotguns are running your game community. They're the ones speaking up, and Bungie thinks that it's right.
When was this, guys? When was this?
This was
and
a while
look,
ago.
yeah, there's definitely still like shotgun apes inside of PvP. But
It's not as bad as it was, though.
was this back when you could have a shit ton of ammo? Yeah, so it must have been back when you could carry around. There was a time in Destiny you could run around with special ammo nonstop. You could use your shotgun like a primary. No, dude, it was a problem. It was a problem. Why do you think we really I really love the ammo meter system that Bungie tried out last year? That's fantastic. I like primary duels. I like the ability to accumulate special ammo based on your performance with your primary. So we're getting off the beaten path right here. I had no idea that clip even existed. Where is this message you said that Matt had put out? I thought this was something completely different. So Milo's getting flamed for what? Oh my God. You say Milo's being misogynistic are unironically ignoring me and all the other women in the fire team and telling us how we feel. They're ignoring our opinions and feelings on the matter and just projecting their own bullshit. Exactly the thing they are accusing Milo of doing, and it takes away all my agency. You're just straight up saying not a single one of us can stick up for ourselves. If we have an issue with what he's saying, you're saying that none of us have any control in the situation. Voluntarily been raiding with him for months, by the way.
So the context of it was that someone tweeted out saying something like, they think that Ruff Waffles is sexist because they're doing this raid and they're trying to solve Verity, right? Blind. They're trying to solve the puzzle blind. And in the process, some of the girls in the fire team were offering ideas and suggestions, and they were ignored. And this just happens in raids in general. This is not a sexist thing. This is just like, people will offer ideas and maybe the team doesn't go with it, or, you know, whoever's like kind of the leading puzzle guy at the time maybe doesn't pick up the idea. It's not a sexist thing. So trying to turn it into that was kind of a low blow against Milo, Mr. Ruff Waffles, for really no reason. That was the girl that was in the fire team, and even she's saying that that's not the case. So kind of like projecting that like energy and that vibe out there is really weird, and that's what Milo was talking about with weirdos in the community, right?
Yeah, I must be really out of the loop on this. I thought this was about like the Destiny community being toxic to new players trying in-game content. I didn't know it had anything to do with that. Milo always gave me bad vibes. Dude, are you guys for real right now? Are y'all for real?
What the hell? That's messed up.
None of this is real. Y'all know that, right? I didn't watch the entire stream of Milo doing the Salvation's Edge raid, but these are individuals that he's raided with for months now across multiple different raids. Milo's chill as f. Secondly, have you not heard how Les and I talk to each other during a day one raid? And let me tell you this, if Les was a woman, we'd be having that same fucking conversation. All right? When you gotta lock in, you gotta lock the f in. And it can be perceived any way. It can be perceived whatever way you want, I suppose. it be happening just like that. Anyways, I was expecting that this was going to be more about, but Milo is right about the weirdos. Here's the thing that disappoints me about the Destiny community. When someone's in there trying to do a raid for the first time, it is unreal how many comments I will see that are flexing. Like, wow, dumbass couldn't figure it out yet. Lol, I did this in X amount of hours. Why? You know what I'm coming from? It's just nonstop, like trying to flex. And look, there are definitely, I would say the majority are actually sitting there like, you know, watching and enjoying and like seeing someone experience those things that we've got to experience before. And it's just like when I played Warframe, I will say Warframe community was very welcoming. And I love that, you know, throughout all the quests, did we have people in there that were like critiquing us hardcore on what we should and shouldn't be using? Sure. But the overwhelming presence was a lot of people saying, hey man, I'm so glad that you're doing this story. Oh man, he's about to do this quest line. And I really love that.
The Warframe community undefeated, dude.
Destiny, there does seem to be this weird thing where folks or the vocal minority in community love to tear people down. And it could just be something as deeply rooted as what takes place in game, in a simple LFG environment. And I hope it's just a minority, but then I hear people tell me their stories of what happens in LFG for them. And dude, it sounds kind of fucking toxic. And let me just say this, I have some elitist takes, 1000%. When it comes to contest mode and my takes that I gave yesterday, 1000%. There are 2 days out of the year that shit really matters to me. But outside of that, this game should always be very open and accepting to new players trying it out. And we should applaud those that achieve things that at one time was very difficult for us to achieve as well, especially if they're achieving it in a very organic way, as in self-taught, not looking at a guide. That to me is very impressive. Now, the problem is that the moment you say, hey, internet, you need to behave. Oh, man, the shitters come out, brother. Matter of fact, even if you're not a shit, when you get told, hey, you need to just be kind and good out of the goodness of your heart, it just don't work. You see what I mean? It just doesn't work. And I wish people would just be good out of the goodness of their hearts. But you, man, you know, there ain't no other way around it. And sometimes, kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes it's kind of funny. Sometimes it's fucking weird, all right? Sometimes it's too far. I think the main thing is, how can we incentivize people to be better in Destiny itself? Because inside of somebody's Twitch chats or on Twitter, people are going to say whatever the fuck they're going to say. You know what I mean? They're going to say whatever they're going to say. How can we make people better in game? Venture says ban them. All right. For being mean. I guess you could, but that's difficult. You know what I mean? That's difficult. And also there's like a matter of interpretation. If someone says, bro, you keep throwing, how are you this bad? Is that a negative thing to say? Well, yes, but does it break code of conduct? Not necessarily. If he said, hey, bitch, you keep fucking throwing, how are you this? That presentation, that kind of breaks some code of context or code of conduct there. So
Here's the real resolve of this, is that you can't change what people are going to say. You can't censor people. We've talked about this a few times recently on stream. You just have to understand that the internet is a fucking savage place to be. All right. The internet is not kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? The internet is not for sensitive people. The internet is for people that are willing and able, like mentally able, to handle seeing things that are highly insensitive. Like, it wasn't not too long ago, you'd pull up Twitter and like randomly you'd just like watch a person die. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on with the algorithm when Elon took over, but like, I remember just randomly opening up Twitter to like say, what's going on out there in the Destiny world? And just, oh, this guy just got like brutally murdered. And I watched it in 4K. I guess that's how I'm starting my day today. You know, that's the internet though. Now they changed the algorithm on Twitter. You don't see that as much now, thankfully, because that's not at all what I'm trying to see. But that's the internet. It's savage. The internet is not for sensitive people. If you're a sensitive person, you're going to have to get off the internet. You're going to have to not be on here. It's just not going to work out for you. And same way with these chats where people are anonymous, right? All of this shit would go away in an instant if people weren't anonymous, right? If your Twitter account, if your whatever account was literally your name and it was tied to your fucking government ID and everything, and if you typed some crazy shit, your boss would see it and be like, we don't want to employ you anymore. Everyone would stop, like tomorrow it would stop, right? But you're anonymous. So you get to be a character. You get to be the most evil version of yourself. and no one knows that it's really you. Or you can be nice. Most people just choose to kind of sit in the middle somewhere. They're like, I don't know, like they say some toxic shit sometimes. Most of the time they're nice, or maybe they're just indifferent. But some people choose to use the power of anonymity and just go crazy with it. You can't censor people. You're not going to be able to. Not in the current internet iteration we're in. One day, maybe if everyone's tied into their government ID, I don't think that'll ever happen. But one day, maybe. But not now, though. That's for sure. The internet is a ruthless place to be.
If the delivery is fair, it doesn't mean it isn't just as hurtful. If you see in the text feed, bro, you keep throwing. How are you this bad? Doesn't necessarily break code of conduct. He's not cursing. He's not saying anything profane, nothing racial. He's just saying these things that may or may not be true. It could be true. What if that person is throwing? And do they happen to be bad? The question is how do we make a good player accept a bad player? And that is where Final Fantasy 14 system. Guys, I keep saying this.
Should I just get plugged into an ad?
And I'm going to keep saying this till I'm blue in the fucking face. You have to incentivize people to be nice. I wish everyone could just be nice out of the goodness of their heart, but they're not, because people aren't like that. You're a bunch of shit. That's you. And you're not going to be nice unless Bungie gives you something for it. Commendations should be a currency, and you should only be able to give 1 out per run. 1 out.
That's not going to stop the toxicity. That's not even going to, that will create more toxicity in some ways, because people will find that they're forced to be nice. So then they're going to be even more mean, like that doesn't stop anything. Not in the Twitch chats and stuff, right? Like not in the situation with the Milo situation. That was just some guy on Twitter, right? Saying something that was pretty fucking, messed up.
Of an activity. And you make these commendations mean something. You redeem it for certain materials. In Final Fantasy 14, you redeem it for armor and weapons. I wish I can go even further this and say, man, imagine if Bungie gave us clan halls, and the only way you can upgrade your clan hall is via these commendations. These commendation points is the currency required to completely pimp out your clan hall. Now, if you're thinking, Cross, how would a commendation save me? I'm doing a dungeon with you. One individual keeps throwing, and me and this other guy are carrying you. Because I want your commendation, I want to make sure that I stand out next to this fucking guy that's also carrying you. I'm going to be like, hey, man, can I assist you? Would you like for me to explain this mechanic? Simply because I want your commendation, and I don't want fucking John here getting your commendation. I've said this before many times in the past, but I have literally wrote out entire thing. Like I've been so pissed off, but I will backspace that shit because I was like, I need that commendation. You know what I mean? You incentivize the community.
That doesn't make you a better person, though. That just makes you want to get that accommodation. Makes you more manipulative than anything, right?
And then eventually, after repetition of people typing things like, how can I assist you? Would you like to try this strategy, or would you like to try this role that may be more fitting for your...
Would you like to try this role? I'll tell you if you give me that accommodation.
Playstyle. Once people get into the repetition of saying these things, what eventually happens is, lo and behold, it becomes kind of the thing you say all the time. Even after you don't need commendations, you're a little more positive. Sure, it may seep out every now and then, but for the time being, it appears that that positivity may have some sticking there. It's not just a Destiny community thing. It's an anonymous viewer thing in general. Just a bunch of disingenuous, bored people being rude, inconsiderate jerks. Look, man, that's just part of online gaming, man. It's a beauty to it. The moment I realized that I could say, "Fuck you, eat my ass, bitch," in RuneScape, as a 14-year-old boy, I was in heaven. Of course, it bleeped it out, so I had to mess with the settings there. I would spell "fuck you" a little differently. You know what I mean? F-O-O-K or something, right? Instead of saying bitch, because that would get bleeped out, I had to say biatch. You know what I mean? Throw that IA in there and really drag it out. There was something beautiful about walking around Lumbridge and just being like, yeah, I loved it. I had a great time. Anytime a deal ever went bad, if I was trading someone and they were, the price wasn't what I want, I would immediately just light them up. Every word under the sun, I would light them up. But what happened was I was talking shit to a girl who was selling herself. Now, if you've ever played RuneScape, this was a thing. You could buy a girlfriend. Anyways, this girl was selling herself in the bank, and I was trying to sell some bowstrings, or I actually think it was just some logs. I think I was selling some logs. But see, and when you type in RuneScape, the text takes up the screen. And so eventually I was like, listen, go do that whole shit and at the West Bank. Okay, right now we're on the east side. This is where we sell logs. And somehow she fucking spun this into some bullshit, pissed me off, and started talking shit, but she wasn't saying anything that was breaking code of conduct. So I lit into her from, BH, and then you could change the text on the screen. So then I had the screen text where it was
The Aztecross 14-year-old trash talk, dude. I need to see these chat logs.
lighting up and flashing. It was saying BH constantly. Anyways, a player mod comes up to me while I'm doing my broadcasting that this hoe BH was selling her stuff. And by the way, I may be coming on misogynistic right now, but let's just be real. That's not a she. It was a he. Let's be clear. Regardless, the player mod said chill, of which I didn't acknowledge because I didn't know what a player mod was. And he says, I'm giving you one more chance. And then I said some stuff to him, and then he muted me. And that was an interesting moment because for 24 hours, I walked around RuneScape saying things above my head that no one could read, which was really odd and also kind of therapeutic. What happened after that situation was I didn't get banned, but I couldn't communicate with anyone. So I couldn't sell anything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't be a shooter. You know, I couldn't send messages. Like I couldn't do anything for 24 hours except go play the game, but not actually converse with people. And I kind of learned my lesson after that. I learned if I was going to talk shit, keep it the DMs only. Don't do it publicly. And I also learned if you see a player mod, instantly roll dip. Just log off, log back on somewhere else. So there was a lot of good lessons that I got from that. The point I'm really trying to make is that Bungie may want to add player modding. Seriously, find people in the community.
That is an interesting idea. Player modding. So to help weed out the toxicity is let certain players that are like veteran players that have a long history of typing in the chats and not doing anything toxic be able to moderate others. Wow. That actually could clean up things in a little bit. I know people are not a fan of getting like policed or censored more, but you know, if the toxicity, I've seen a lot of people try to use like slurs and they just throw a bunch of like random, you know, numbers in there and stuff. So that way they can use slurs and stuff. And it's like, that stuff should be moderated. That stuff should be, you know, ruined. One day mute. I'm still perma muted. You're still perma muted in RuneScape or Destiny too. What the?
That are good people that wouldn't abuse their power. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, they have the ability not to ban someone, but to mute someone. If someone's talking that shit in the middle of a fire team, in a raid or a dungeon, maybe they just go, hey, bro, you need to chill. They don't chill. They keep talking that shit in chats. I'm down with the axe, baby. And I will say, Bungie, to be safe about this, if you want to do...
What if we gave them the power not just to mute them for 24 hours, but also to randomly delete one item from their vault? Maybe too much power? Maybe.
A trial on this. I am more than willing to volunteer myself as someone who is unbiased, that won't abuse this power, and who's also been on the receiving end of this. I know the pain that is inflicted when one unfortunately has to wield such a power. And I am more than happy to try this out for you guys and see where this goes. These are just one of the many steps necessary in order to make Destiny a proper MMO. Bro's gotten so off topic here. Oh, as far as like the Destiny
the topic is really talking about RuneScape.
community being weird, all I can say about that is unfortunately people online are just weird. They say weird, you know, they say hurtful things, and that's unfortunate, man. You know what I mean? Again, incentivize, throw some player mods in there, have a commendation system that actually means something, correct it in game. As far as saying correct it on Twitter and Twitch, I don't know. You know what I mean? The only thing I can think of is doing what's happening here is, you know, shaming the fuck out of this Mac guy. You know, that's one way to do it. The other side of things is too, when you play just video games and your only social interaction is video games, there's a level of toxicity that has come with that. I'm not going to tell you to go outside and touch grass, but I will say that going to like a gaming convention or something like that, a con event, those are really good events, man. You might walk away from that with a different perspective and go, wow, community's kind of cool. Video games is not a social interaction. I disagree with that. I'm saying that video games you can definitely socially interact, but if it's your only source of social interaction, you can kind of get into things become almost too serious. Hard disagree. Yeah. There was many people, there's so many people that I used to play MMOs with that I bonded with greatly that were just online people.
All right, so there it is. We did get a little off topic, but I think the general idea of it is that Milo is this content creator that's kind of recently entered in the Destiny 2 world. He's talking about the topic of his interactions with the Destiny 2 community are pretty bizarre. Obviously, he came from the Call of Duty community. I imagine things were probably pretty rough over there too. Every community can have, you know, some shitters in it, things like that, a few bad apples, etc. The Warframe community apparently has a lot of good people in it. But again, there's still people, you know, once in a while you'll run into some really oddballs. And this was an instance where someone kind of took something that happened on Milo's stream and ran with it in a narrative that really was not fair, you know? And I think that the best thing you can do in a situation like that is just, you know, people need to call it out and be like, yeah, it's not cool. It's it's not the right response to that situation. You know, I think that a lot of people, they go unchecked for a long time. They're anonymous online, and eventually they run into, you know, the mob because they say something that they regret and something that was, you know, not true. And I think that's kind of what happened in this situation. But let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below.